Call with your questions now at 855-LAW-SHOW. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. You can watch The Law Show live online at thelawshow.com. Now, here's America's attorney, Brian Dailey.
That's America's personal injury attorney there, Dave. I'm America's personal injury attorney. I'm America's personal injury lawyer, and I'm here to answer all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. Remember, you can also send your questions to questions@thelawshow.com or to Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at thelawshow.com. I'm here with Matt Catchick, and we're going to be answering your questions today. Before I get into any particular detailing when we go to the calls, I want to make sure I remind everybody that it's really, really important that if you have even the slightest inkling that you may have a legal issue, it's incumbent upon you to get into a lawyer immediately, especially a lawyer like the lawyers of the Dailey Law Firm who don't charge for the initial consultation. We never charge for the initial consultation until we know what you need based upon what your legal situation is and based upon a conversation with you about what you want. We don't charge you anything. Until you sign that fee agreement, you're not charged anything. So you can have a consultation like many of the consultations we've had that run over days and months and weeks. I remember one time I spoke with a fellow about his case for over a year and a half before he paid me a dime. And I was all too happy to do that because he needed to be comfortable before he went into litigation, because litigation it's like a whole other country, as they say about Texas. It's going to turn your life upside down. So you got to be careful about making that decision to get into litigation. There's also the pesky little thing called the statute of limitations. If you wait 2 years to pursue a medical malpractice case, you may have waited too long, because that's how much time you've got in Michigan to pursue a medical malpractice case, and that's 2 years. If it's a regular negligence case, auto accident, slip and fall, that sort of a thing, it's 3 years. But if you wait too long, even if you're within the statute of limitations and you first see a lawyer a week before you've got to file your complaint to beat the statute of limitations, you may have a hard time finding a lawyer because most lawyers don't like getting involved in cases like that so quickly. So do the right thing, follow up to find out what is in your best interest from your legal welfare standpoint, meet with a lawyer who's not going to charge you for the initial consultation, and decide what it is you want to do. As I indicated earlier, we are answering your questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. We're here in studio with Matt Catchick. Welcome to the Law Show, Matt Catchick.
Hey, always a pleasure to be here, Brian.
Hey, I know that you hand a ton of traffic tickets, okay? And the thing is who cares? Why is it that somebody needs to take time off work and go to court and fight their traffic? Wouldn't it be just easier and cheaper for them just to send in and pay the $150 or whatever it is?
Well, first and foremost, what I really want to stress to everyone, you just pay a ticket, it will go on your driving record for 7 years. I always hear people say it just goes on for 2 years. That's completely wrong. It stays on your driving record for 7 long years. In addition to that, not every court, but in the vast majority of courts, I can appear personally on behalf of the client, so they don't have to take time off from work. And if I'm able to keep that ticket from going on their driving record, I will more than pay for myself, Brian, and what I save them in increased insurance premiums that are usually 5 to 6 years after the ticket. So the biggest mistake you can make if you get a traffic ticket is to simply pay it. It costs absolutely nothing. Pick up the phone, call me, we'll talk about your options. You can make a decision from there.
What about the part about having to take time off work? I mean, they're losing money by taking off work. Do they have to take off work to come and see you first and then to go to court with you and then pay their fines? Or
nope, I can do it all over the phone. They don't. If they prefer to talk to me on the phone, they can do it that way. If they want to come sit down, shake my hand, we pour a fabulous cup of coffee here at the Dailey Law Firm. I'm happy to talk to them. I can do everything via internet if they prefer that. All they need is to have the ticket number handy and get the information.
So wait a minute. You're telling me that if I get a traffic ticket and I hire you, I don't even have to go to court? Are you serious?
Almost all. There's a couple where you have to go, but the vast majority of them, Brian, you don't even have to take a minute off from work.
That's awesome. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you get a traffic ticket, there's really no reason why you shouldn't fight it. Whether you fight it with the Dailey Law Firm, which is our preference, of course, or you fight it with another lawyer, fight your traffic tickets. You're not going to necessarily get out of the money. That's all there is to that. But you will avoid the points, and that's worth its weight in gold, as Matt has just indicated. So tell us, Matt, what's new in the area of family law?
Well, the newest thing area of family law is they've modified once again the Michigan child support formula. In 2013, we've got a new formula with some new wrinkles, and people always say, well, listen, I lost my job, or I got less money now, or I got a decrease in my pay. Should I go in and get a modification? And I will tell everyone out there, I have the exact same Michigan child support formula that is utilized by friend of the courts all over the country. If you call me up, I will tell you exactly what information I need from you, and I'll run numbers for free, because I'll tell you right now, Brian, the biggest mistake someone can make is going into court saying, I want to modify my child support, and then by the time they walk out, they have to pay more money. But I'm happy to run the numbers, and there's no charge.
So now tell me this, okay? I was talking to a fellow on the way into the office today, on the way into the studio, and he just got out of jail on an unrelated charge, and he's got a very large arrears in child support. And they just took half of his paycheck to pay that arrears and what he owes in the future. So if he waits 6 months and asks for a reduction in child support going back to when he was first put in prison, what's going to happen?
No, they only go back to the date you file. That's why it is so important. If a life event happens to you, if you break your leg, you get divorced, you lose your job, you get a demotion, whatever happens, they only go back to the date you file the request for the reduction. That's why if you have one, God forbid you have one of those life events, pick up the phone, call me immediately, because we can only get you relief back to the date you file.
Okay. And you are practicing in Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, Washtenaw, Monroe. Is there any county in Michigan you won't go to?
Probably not. Probably not. And if I'm not going to go there, I can hook them up with a lawyer that will take good care of them there. But I travel almost entirely throughout the state of Michigan.
Very good. And you actually started your practice in the western part of Michigan in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I'm proud to say I was born and raised in East Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go Pioneers. And I have lots of ties there. And then, of course, I've been living here ever since 1997 here in beautiful Detroit.
And finally, we all know what's new in the criminal law. I guess now that all those dispensaries have to shut down.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you're talking about, Brian, is just recently the Michigan Supreme Court issued an opinion, Michigan v. Brandon McQueen, just released February 8th. And without boring you with all the details, you can get the opinion online, and you can certainly go to our website, and we'll get a link for you. But the bottom line is you cannot have dispensaries. Under the Michigan Supreme Court's interpretation of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, dispensaries are not legal. And, even more big than that, Brian, that you haven't heard about in the papers yet, but I'm sure they're going to talk about it soon. If you look at one of the footnotes in the opinion, they say, listen, the fact that this is involving a transfer of sale is inconsequential. And they further went on to hold that any transfer, even if it's just one registered patient giving it to another registered patient and no money changing hands, still illegal. And that's huge. It's buried in one of the footnotes. People need to know that. It's really important. And
it's really important because if you engage in one of these transfers, and that just means, what was that old song? Don't bogart that joint. Passing it between each other, that could qualify as a criminal charge, couldn't it?
It's highly possible. It is highly possible that, pass the dough chip on the left-hand side, as they used to say back in the 80s. Yeah, that could be illegal.
Right. I'm glad to see that you're reading up on 80s nostalgia.
You got it.
There you go. Hey, listen, we're going to answer your questions right now, and I am Brian Dailey, America's personal injury lawyer, answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. We're going to go to the phones right now. We're going to talk to Lee. Lee, you're on the Law Show.
Hello, Mr. Dailey. But 2.5 years ago, my son was a car number 3 involved in a 6-car accident on Hall Road in Macomb County.
Okay.
He was whiplashed twice.
Okay.
The car that hit his truck slid into it on his roof and pushed him into another car, so he got it backwards and then forwards, and he has diagnosed in 2005 or 6 a Chiari malformation at the base of his skull.
Okay.
All right. This thing has been aggravated. What it apparently has done is it's awakened a sleeping giant. He wasn't having too much trouble with it until this accident.
Has he seen a lawyer yet about it?
No, I have not.
Why not? Why has he waited all this time? It's 2.5 years. He's got to get on it. It's time to get started.
I know there's much. I know, Mr. Dailey. He had a job at the time, and he felt the job was more important. And he, like me, tends to take medical problems not very seriously. I'm walking around with a screwed up hip,
Yep.
and I can get it fixed, and I'm just kind of ignoring it, and he does the same thing. But now it's beyond ignoring.
Lee,
it's bothering him.
Lee, listen. I was talking to a client the other day, and he tried to resolve a very serious auto accident injury case by himself with the insurance company, and he didn't hire a lawyer, right? And the insurance company said, you don't need to hire a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're all bad people, rah, rah, rah. You know the whole drill. Don't go to a lawyer. We'll take care of this. You trust us. Trust us. It's like the snake insurance company saying, trust us. So he trusted him, and a year later, he gets a bill in the mail for $37,000 in medical expenses that were not covered by his settlement. So, listen, I'm available to see your son. I'm ready to see him. We can sit down and talk, and if he wants to retain us, he can retain us. If he doesn't, no charge.
By the way, I forgot to mention to you, I have been for about 20 years. Dr. Lerner has been my primary care physician. He saw Dr. Lerner about this problem. He brought all the paperwork in, and Dr. Lerner says, "Well, this is not something you should be taking lightly." He says, "You got laid off from your job. Just leave it stay that way."
I know Dr. Lerner really well. He's a great doctor, and if he says you don't take it lightly, then you don't take it lightly. So, listen, I'm going to call you after the show, and we'll talk a little bit more. Is that all right with you?
You bet.
Very good. Thanks for calling the Law Show. We're going to continue answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW SHOW. And we're going to go to the phones again. We're going to talk with, looks like, Bob. Bob, you're on the Law Show.
Yes. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I couldn't be better. How are you?
Not too good.
Why?
I'll tell you why, sir.
I can see on my screen why.
I was involved. Pardon?
I can see on my screen you got a ticket.
Yes, I did. I was involved in a hit-and-run accident. The accident report states that she turned into me. Why, I don't know to this day what caused her to do this. But after the young lady turned her vehicle into me, well, first she got behind me, she rammed me from the rear, accelerated, dropped back off behind me, moved to the side of my vehicle.
Hey, Bob.
Pushed.
Bob,
Yes.
What's the issue with the ticket?
Okay, he gave me a reckless driving citation.
Did she get a ticket?
I don't know. It said on the ticket, according to the lady I spoke with, that her vehicle turned into mine. So there was a gentleman that I had passed. I passed one vehicle on a side street attempting to chase her to get her license plate number from my insurance company.
Right.
And that gentleman happened to be an auxiliary officer, and apparently he was asked the question by the officer how fast we were going. He said we were going approximately 60 miles per hour.
Okay, listen. Here's the thing. You need representation on this. No question about it. Mm-hmm. I would never, ever go into court alone on a ticket like this. And so Matt's got something to say to you.
You know, Bob, it's what you're faced with right now, reckless driving. It's one of the most serious offenses you can have under the Motor Vehicle Code. It's a misdemeanor. It's 6 points, which is as much as a drunk driving. Just
right.
Please call me first thing Monday morning, and I'll tell you all your options. But you really want to take this one seriously, and I've handled hundreds of those cases. Okay, Bob?
Okay, I need to get a name and a phone number is all I need.
You know, you gave your number to Tyler when you called in, right?
Pardon me?
Did you give your phone number to Tyler when you called in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Matt is going to call you after the show. Okay, Bob?
Oh, fine. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
We're going to continue answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW SHOW. I am America's personal injury lawyer. Although I am America's personal injury lawyer. Thank you, Dave. I handle many other areas of law, and I'm here to answer all your questions about every single area of the law that you need. We have Matt Catchick, who is handling criminal defense and family law. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, you'll hear us answering your legal questions. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back on The Law Show.